I'll be back. Our narrator is a firm believer in the paranormal, drawing from her own spine chilling experiences. One such tale revolves around the anticipated overnight visit of her childhood friend, Julia. As Julia's arrival grew overdue, the narrator's nerves began to fray. When the long-awaited doorbell finally rang, she dashed to answer it, but halted halfway. Something felt off. Why hadn't Julia buzzed the intercom before arriving, although someone could have let her in? The thought unsettled the narrator, prompting her to check the peephole first. The dimly lit stairwell offered little visibility as the bulb often flickered out. Nothing discernible could be made out. Another ring echoed through the hallway, calling out Julia's name. The narrator received no response from the other side. Another attempt yielded the same silence, confirming that it wasn't Julia at the door. Yet another ring. The doorknob twitched. The next call came from Julia's mobile phone. She explained that she couldn't find her keys and would arrive later. When asked if she was home, Julia confirmed, baffling the narrator. For a while, the doorbell ceased its incessant ringing, lulling the narrator into a false sense of security until it started anew. As her nerves frayed, the narrator shouted at the mischievous pranksters lurking in the stairwell to cease their antics. After a brief pause, a strange voice replied, "All right," and the sound of paper rustling emanated from beyond the door. Moments later, the intercom buzzed, signaling Julia's arrival. Within minutes, a knock followed, and the narrator, recognizing her friend's voice, let her in. They both stood in shock as they observed the exterior of the door, marred by something sharp. The apartment owner felt a wave of nausea wash over her. Julia handed her a scrap of paper found near the entrance to the apartment. "I'll come again, you're alone." Glowing columns, mysterious denizens of the graveyard. Allow me to regale you with a mystifying tale from the depths of the 90s, a time when the world still held its breath in anticipation of the unknown. It was a sultry August of 1992, and I, a mere 22 years old, found myself entangled in a web of the supernatural. Picture this. I had just completed my technical studies at the Riverfleet School, and with the summer break stretching out before me, I sought solace in the countryside, drawn by the allure of tranquil fishing and the embrace of my beloved grandmother. Her abode lay a good 120 kilometers from the bustling city, nestled in a quaint village. Upon arrival, my first order of business was to rendezvous with a friend to arrange a dawn fishing expedition. Fortuitously, my friend was at home, and we agreed to set out at 4 in the morning, eager to greet the sun before it broke the horizon. As the appointed hour approached, I found myself astride my bicycle, fishing gear in tow, hurtling towards my friend's abode. Yet, fate had a different plan in store for me that eerie night. Alas, my attempts to reach my friend were met with silence, leaving me to contemplate my next move. But the call of the fishing grounds was too strong to resist, especially with the promise of a moonlit sky and bountiful catches. The nearest route to the Dnipro River lay a mere 10-minute bike ride away, with a detour through the graveyard extending the journey to a meager 25 minutes. Naturally, I opted for the shortcut, dismissing any superstitions that dared to cloud my mind. Even now, after all these years, the memory of that fateful encounter remains etched in my mind like a haunting specter. As I pedaled through the cemetery, I caught sight of a luminous anomaly out of the corner of my eye, a glowing column casting its eerie radiance into the darkness. A shiver ran down my spine as I beheld the spectacle. The column, towering several meters high with a diameter of nearly a meter, emitted a golden glow that seemed to dance and flicker with a life of its own. Intrigued and somewhat unnerved, I watched as it began to advance towards me. With a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins, I urged my bicycle forward, heedless of the rough terrain beneath me. But try as I might, I could not outpace the ethereal entity that pursued me relentlessly, closing the distance with every passing moment. In a moment of desperation, I halted in my tracks, transfixed by the surreal sight before me. The column drew closer, enveloping me in its radiant embrace until I could feel its warmth searing through my skin like molten fire. As suddenly as it had appeared, the column began to dissipate, leaving me shaken and disoriented. My vision blurred, my limbs trembled, and a wave of nausea washed over me. In a daze, I staggered back, my mind reeling from the inexplicable encounter. Struggling to make sense of what had just transpired, I made my way home, where I succumbed to a fitful slumber. It wasn't until afternoon that I awoke, groggy and disoriented, only to be greeted by the concerned visage of my grandmother. To my horror, I beheld my reflection in the mirror, my eyes bloodshot, my skin flushed with feverish heat, and my body racked with tremors. Panic set in as I realized the gravity of my condition, prompting a frantic call for medical assistance. In the days that followed, I languished in the local hospital, grappling with a diagnosis of acute hypertension, a condition I had never before experienced. Upon my return home, my grandmother recounted tales of the graveyard's spectral inhabitants, warning me of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. And so, dear listener, I leave you with this chilling tale, a cautionary reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of the unknown. Whether you choose to believe in the existence of glowing columns or dismiss them as mere figments of the imagination, the choice is yours to make. But remember, the line between reality and the supernatural is often thinner than we dare to imagine. Pete Cemetery in Russia. In the enigmatic realm of Marina's world, the fervent desire to dwell in a secluded haven beyond the city's clutches burned bright throughout her existence. Finally, upon retiring, fate granted her the opportunity to realize this lifelong dream. She acquired a modest cottage in the suburban outskirts of Moscow, weathered and worn, its walls bearing the scars of time's relentless passage. Yet, as the old adage professes, necessity outweighs aesthetics, and so Marina ventured forth into this crooked abode, unaware of the chilling mysteries that lay in wait. No sooner had Marina settled into her new dwelling than her health began to falter. Within the span of a year, she found herself confined to the sterile confines of 4 different hospital wards, a victim of inexplicable maladies. In a bid to stave off the encroaching loneliness, Marina sought solace in companionship of pets. Yet, to her bewilderment, they fled from her embrace as if fleeing from some unseen terror. And in her modest garden, the flowers wilted and perished, refusing to bloom under her tender care. Amidst these perplexing occurrences, Marina resolved to demolish the dilapidated structure and erect a new abode in its place. Her son, Ivan, arrived to assist with the construction, dismissing his mother's concerns as mere superstition. As the demolition commenced, eerie sounds echoed through the air, unsettling Ivan's skeptical disposition. Pitching his tent nearby for the night's reprieve, he was soon lulled into a fitful slumber by the encroaching darkness. Yet, his rest was interrupted by strange whispers and ghostly apparitions that danced upon the edges of his consciousness. Rising with the dawn, Ivan discovered his legs, marred by bloody scratches, a grim testament to the night's terrors. Undeterred by these spectral encounters, Ivan pressed on with the demolition, night after night, haunted by the ethereal presence that lingered within the shadows. And as the final vestiges of the old house crumbled to dust, Ivan made a ghastly discovery that threatened to unravel his sanity. A grim tableau of skeletal remains entombed within the foundation, evoking images from the pages of Stephen King's The Pet Sematary. With solemn reverence, Ivan consigned the remains to the earth, and as the new house rose from the ashes of the old, so too did Marina's health and peace of mind return. The spectral apparitions vanished into the ether, and once more the garden bloomed with vibrant life. Thus concludes the chilling saga of the Pet Cemetery, a cautionary tale of the secrets buried beneath our feet.